Hey guys, it's Daniel, and recently a lot of you lovely people have been messaging me over the Steam interwebs saying, "Hey Daniel, I don't know if you've heard yet, but there's this really epic and cool mod called Team Fortress 2 Classic, which is Team Fortress 2, but back in its beta state, and includes all the beta content, and it's really fun and features more teams, modes, and maps. Can you check it out?" And to that I say, sure. So I head over to the website, join the Discord, install the game, and well, here we are. Now, as some of you old school people to my channel may know, I'm just a really big fan of projects like this. I'm a huge nostalgia freak and I've always enjoyed playing older builds of games and getting the experience of a memento of the past, if you will. TF2 2008 being a big one for me, although that kind of fell apart, so here I am with Team Fortress 2 Classic. Now, I actually have known about this mod for quite some time, but personally have never gave it much of my attention, just because I was too busy playing normal TF2 mainly. To me, on the surface, it seemed like a gimmick attempt to try and add more teams and to try to match more of a Quake-style game, but I was very wrong about that assumption because Fortress Forever actually ended up doing that instead. Okay, that was actually kind of mean. I like Fortress Forever, but yeah. So after putting in almost a solid 7 to 8 hours of gameplay and getting a really good grasp for what the game has to offer, I think I'm ready to share some of my overall thoughts and opinions on the game and whether or not I would even recommend this mod to the average Joe who plays TF2. Now, Team Fortress 2 Classic is not just a build of TF2 from 2007 ported into a full release mod and nothing else. This is a serious project that includes both the good, old, and new features of both the current and older aspects of TF2, combined to capture the old school feel without all the nuances that would come with it. Now, the amount of detail and immersion actually poured into this game is astronomical, from the new custom Valve intro music to the new and improved main menu with its own custom UI, voice acting. Everything about it is just, it screams just fan service. There's really a lot to unpack. First off, there is a lot of the same settings from modern day TF2 that are in this build, and even some of the features that aren't. Everything from minimized view models, damage numbers, hit and kill sounds, all of those quality of life improvements for the overall combat are there. But this mod also has some new features never before seen in vanilla TF2, some specific only to this mod, with settings that disable the hands of your player, leaving only the weapon, which is really cool. The old cartoony muzzle flash, which we saw like in the older trailers of the game, and even built-in Discord support so that your friends can now see that you're being the 5th sniper on the team. Truly groundbreaking technology. I was also able to successfully port both my HUD and hit sounds over, which I was very happy about because the default HUD, while really cool, and there's like some new class icons and such, it looks really nice. I still personally am not just a huge fan of the regular HUD, so I had to get my bros the HUD. But I am glad you are able to now use your own HUD and hit sounds, which is once again just a quality of life feature that makes the mod all the more enjoyable. You can also scale your FOV a lot higher. Usually in typical vanilla TF2, your FOV is locked at 90 max, but now you can go up to like 130, which is like kind of ridiculous anyways. I only play at like 100, but hey, it's still something that I'm glad they have in there just for the sake of having it, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's stuff like that that really just makes the experience that much better. Beyond from that, in terms of classes, they are all fundamentally pretty much the same. The game features no cosmetics or weapon unlocks from modern day TF2 with the exception of some of the early game achievement items. As far as I'm aware, the TF2 Classic team really has no plans to actually add any more weapons from TF2, at least none that have come out any time later than probably 2008, 2009. But take that with a grain of salt. You never know, we could see maybe something reintroduced, but I highly doubt it because that would go against the vision of this mod. There are some new gadgets actually too for some of the classes, a lot of them being stuff from the beta, a lot of concept art and stuff like that, such as the nail gun for scout, the tranquilizer dart for spy, the RPG for soldier, the syringe for medic, and a few other things like dynamite for demo and such, and just a few other weapon concepts for all the classes, all of them having different characteristics from each other but still keeping the balance and not being completely over the top. They just stay on balance with a lot of stock weapons, which on that note, the balance of the game is pretty consistent. Classes like Demo and Soldier are still really good overall, and Medic is fundamentally the same. Overall, the gameplay doesn't feel far off from how TF2 usually plays. I will note it feels more consistent since your opponents are not wielding one of 400 weapon combinations that modern TF2 has nowadays. So it's nice to know when a spy dies there's no dead ringer for him to crutch on. And overall, you just kind of know what to expect and it just creates more fluid. The overall pace of the game is a lot better. The graphics also are very old school and actually look a lot better in comparison to modern TF2. If you haven't seen what the graphics kind of used to look like for TF2, there are plenty of videos about the downgrade of TF2 graphics over the years, which you could look up and check out because I'm not good at explaining all of that, but ironically enough, the game both looks and runs better than modern TF2 Probably because the game doesn't have to render someone's double unusual banana head loadout for their sniper, who has an unusual sniper rifle to match, and such like that. Even when the servers are packed up to the brim with up to 48, and I'm pretty sure I've seen 64-player servers, which I haven't even touched because that just sounds like hell. The server holds up pretty well, and my in-game performance barely tips, even on all high settings, even with, 48 people just shooting each other with bullets and bombs, which is something that I can't say would even happen in modern-day TF2 with, 24 players. So, there you go. Many of the standard maps and modes are also in here. You got your control points, capture the flag, payload, king of the hill, and even arena mode is back, which nobody is still playing anyhow, but they also have a new mode known as VIP, and which one team has to escort a player playing as the civilian class, which is back, by the way. I kind of forgot to mention that, to either capture points or jump into the enemy's pit. The civilian class is back, is a lot of fun to play. I actually had the chance to get some footage as him. I'm pretty sure, if not, it's not going to be there, but I'm pretty sure I did. It's pretty cool. You can point at teammates, give them mini crits. You have an umbrella, which you can whack people with. The voice acting for the civilian is phenomenal, and the actual model of the civilian is just really cool. In VIP, actually, the civilian is really the only one that can capture points or really complete the objective, so making sure your team is keeping you alive and making sure you're staying around them and constantly staying behind them is pretty much of the utmost important, because if he is killed, the person that killed him will get crits, and I'm pretty sure you do lose about 20 seconds off the round timer if he does get murdered. It's actually some of the most fun I've had in a while, and I can recommend this mod single-handedly for just trying that mode out alone. It's one of the most creative game mode ideas I've seen pretty much in a long time. There's also Domination, which they recently added, which is pretty cool. It gave the Hydro map a lot more use now, since nobody wants to play control points on that. So, Domination, pretty neat. You get your 4 teams, which I'll get into in a bit. With that, this game also features 2 new teams, both being yellow and green respectively. They are pretty well designed, and their logos, acronyms, etc. are pretty much just as confusing as red and blue, but they are really cool nonetheless. So, of course, with the introduction of 2 teams, they now have the excuse to put 4-4 in the game, which is exactly what you would expect it to be. Just, dude, and then they called a vote and extended the game round 5 times. It took over an hour to finish. Just, I don't know. 4-4 is pretty much what it says on the tin. It's just, it's 4-4. Yeah, I really got nothing to say about it. Still, it's a really cool addition that really expands upon the TF2 universe and helps build the immersion. There are also a ton of new maps and variations of pre-existing maps, which are all extremely fun and interesting to play on. I'm yet to really explore all the new maps, but some of the notable ones are CP title, Domination on Hydro, and of course everybody's favorite, 4-way process mid on King of the Hill. Just groundbreaking gameplay. It's beautiful. I don't know who crafted that map, but Valve needs to hire them. It's insane. So overall, if you haven't checked this mod out yet, and you're a huge washed up TF2 fan / content creator like me, head over to the link below and go download this mod and try it for yourself. I promise you probably won't be disappointed. With that in mind, guys, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and as always, thank you, and have a good day.